Somewhere inside Anthropic, an engineer is staring at his screen right now, wondering how the hell this happened. Because a 22-year-old kid, no PhD, no funding, no security clearance, just built a working Claude Mythos clone and dropped it on GitHub for free. The architecture they spent 2 years hiding behind NDAs, it's now public. The secret sauce that justified their $13 billion valuation? Open source. And the worst part for Anthropic and OpenAI isn't that he copied it, it's that his version is smaller, faster, and runs on a laptop. This is the moment the AI moat officially cracked. Watch closely. For 2 years, AI insiders have whispered about a thing called Claude Mythos. Not a product, not a paper, a rumor. The theory went like this. Anthropic figured out how to make Claude think longer without making it bigger. While OpenAI was bolting on more GPUs like a man stuffing more horses into a Honda Civic, Anthropic allegedly cracked a different door, letting the model loop through its own reasoning before answering. No leaks, no paper, no GitHub, just vibes and benchmark scores that didn't add up. Enter Kye Gomez, 22. No PhD, no $100 million seed round, no mountain of H100s. What he had was a hunch, a copy of PyTorch, and the kind of free time only a 22-year-old can produce. He called his project OpenMythos, and within weeks, AI researchers at Stanford, DeepMind, and yes, inside Anthropic itself, started quietly forking his repo at 3 a.m. That should tell you everything. Here's a detail nobody mentions. Anthropic employees signed some of the most aggressive non-compete and non-disclosure agreements in the industry, reportedly stricter than Apple's. Which means if Claude Mythos is real, no insider could legally talk about it without losing everything. So how did a 22-year-old crack it? He didn't need a leak. He read the public benchmark scores, noticed patterns standard transformers mathematically cannot produce, and reverse-engineered backward from the output. That's not hacking, that's forensic AI archaeology. Here's how every model you've used works. Picture a giant layer cake. GPT-4, 120 layers. Claude Opus, roughly the same. The input walks up the cake floor by floor, gets transformed at each layer, and pops out the top as an answer. Want it smarter? Add more floors. Want more floors? Add more GPUs. Want more GPUs? Call Jensen Huang and bring a wheelbarrow of cash. This is the model the entire industry is built on. It's also possibly completely wrong. OpenMythos throws the cake out. Instead of 120 different layers, it uses a small stack and runs it in a loop up to 16 times. Same weights, same parameters, just thinking again and again and again. That's it. That's the secret. That's what billion-dollar labs are allegedly hiding behind NDAs. And the numbers are absurd. A 770 million parameter OpenMythos model matches the quality of a 1.3 billion parameter standard transformer. That's nearly half the size, same brain. In an industry where everyone's measuring success by parameter count, the way teenagers measure trucks by horsepower, this is heresy. Now, here's the part the original coverage glossed over, and it's the part that should make every AI investor sweat. Standard transformers reason in tokens, one word at a time, left to right, like a guy reading a book out loud. OpenMythos reasons in latent space, meaning it can hold multiple possible answers in its head simultaneously and pick the best one before opening its mouth. Researchers call this breath-first reasoning. Normal humans call it thinking before you speak, a feature most LLMs and roughly 40% of LinkedIn users still don't have. And here's the dirty secret of token-by-token reasoning. It's an energy disaster. Every word a standard model generates burns through the entire network, top to bottom, billions of calculations just to produce the word the. OpenMythos's latent reasoning skips that. Internal estimates suggest loop-based architectures could cut inference energy costs by 60 to 80% at scale. Translation: Microsoft just spent billions on nuclear plants to power AI, and a kid on GitHub may have made half of them necessary.
It gets weirder. This architecture can solve problems with more reasoning depth than it was trained on. Train it on 20 reasoning steps, give it a problem needing 30, it just Extends. Standard transformers, when you do this, they collapse like a folding chair at a barbecue. This is called systematic generalization. It's the holy grail. It's what every AI lab claims to be working on, and a 22-year-old just shipped it on GitHub for free. Looping a neural network sounds simple. It is not. 3 things normally go wrong, and OpenMythos fixes all 3. Problem 1. Hidden state explosion. Run a loop too many times, the numbers grow to infinity, the model becomes a screaming toddler. Fix: LTI injection, borrowed from a paper called Parquet, that mathematically clamps the system into stability no matter how many loops you run. Problem 2. Overthinking. Yes, even AI can overthink. Loop too many times on an easy question and the model drifts into nonsense, like your uncle 3 beers into Thanksgiving dinner. Fix: adaptive computation time. Each token learns when to stop. Easy question, 1 loop. Hard question, 16. The model decides. Problem 3. Memory cost. Fix: a compressed attention mechanism similar to DeepSeek's multi-head latent attention. Squeezes memory use by 10 to 20 times. That means this thing could run on a gaming laptop, not a data center, a laptop. Let me say the quiet part out loud. For 3 years, the entire AI narrative has been bigger equals better, and only billionaires can play. OpenAI raises $40 billion, Anthropic raises $13 billion, Microsoft pours concrete on nuclear plants. The message to everyone else? Sit down, you can't compete. OpenMythos is the receipt that proves this was always partly theater, because if a loop-based architecture can match a model twice its size, using a fraction of the compute on hardware you already own, then the real moat in AI was never compute, it was secrecy. It was making you believe you couldn't catch up. The frontier labs aren't 10 years ahead, they're maybe 10 months ahead, and they're terrified you'll figure it out. And there's a geopolitical wrinkle nobody's discussing. The US export controls on AI chips were designed around one assumption, that frontier AI requires massive compute, and choking GPU supply to China would slow them down. OpenMythos just punched a hole in that strategy. A loop-based architecture running on consumer hardware doesn't need an H100 farm. It needs a laptop and a GitHub account. Washington built a wall against the wrong threat, and a 22-year-old just walked around it. This is why open source matters. This is why Kye Gomez matters. Not because OpenMythos will dethrone Claude tomorrow. It won't. But because it just showed the magic trick to the entire audience. And once a magic trick is exposed, it stops being magic. It becomes engineering. And engineering scales. So the question isn't whether Anthropic and OpenAI are worried. They are. The question is what you do with this information. Because the next decade of AI won't be won by whoever has the biggest GPU farm. It'll be won by whoever uses compute the smartest. History keeps writing the same story. In 2007, 3 guys in a garage built the iPhone OS that killed BlackBerry. In 2012, a grad student named Alex Krzyzewski won ImageNet and accidentally started the deep learning revolution. In 2022, a small lab nobody had heard of called OpenAI shipped ChatGPT and rewrote the internet. Every single time, the incumbents said it was impossible, right until it wasn't. OpenMythos is that pattern repeating in real time. The only question is whether you're paying attention this round. And right now, a 22-year-old with a GitHub account is teaching the entire industry what smart actually looks like.